for the Agile community. www.agile.fm.
This is a re-release of a podcast episode recorded back in 2012. In this recording, I speak with Ken Schwaber, co-creator of Scrum and founder of Scrum.org. I thought I would re-release this gem as this provides wonderful insights by Ken about the birth and birthplace of Scrum and his relationship with Jeff Sutherland. If you're interested in how everything started back in the days, this one is for you. If you like the podcast, go to iTunes and give it a quick rating. Even better, write a brief review. That helps a lot and closes the feedback loop. And now to Ken.
We are meeting in Burlington, and I want to come to this because I want to stress the fact, not from a nostalgic viewpoint, because we're here at the birthplace of Scrum, where everything happened in the building.
Yes.
We're actually inside the building where Scrum started, the roots.
And we're in Burlington, Massachusetts, about 10 miles west of Logan Airport in downtown Boston. And this is where my company was back in 1990 through 95 when Jeff Sutherland and I developed Scrum. When I first was working with him, he was at Easel Corporation, just about half a mile from here. And both of us, part of our proximity is one of the things that spawned Scrum. We were able to work together pretty closely on the whole subject.
Mm-hmm. How was that 95? How was this area? Was this like startup companies? What was the vibe out here?
This was huge number of startups because we were seeing in the area at the same time the demise of DEC, Wang, Prime, Data General. So a lot of people were being let go from those really large companies, and they were forming small companies. And my own company then was able to hire them to do development with people who were so advanced that we wouldn't have been able to touch them before those companies started folding. So this worked very well for myself and for Jeff. We were able to hire really good software developers that we probably wouldn't have been able to hire before.
Mm-hmm. So you worked in this building here. Jeff was half a mile away, you mentioned.
Right.
So how did this initial contact, how did this happen? I mean, how did you, probably didn't just pick up the phone and call each other. There had to be some link.
Now, Jeff and I have been friends for 35 years. So we've been in connection the whole time. At that time, my company was building ALM, Application Lifecycle Management software, for the heavyweight waterfall methodologies for Coopers, for IBM. And Jeff knew that, and he was working with Uppsala at the time, and Uppsala wanted to know what the best methodology would be for object-oriented. And Jeff, knowing my work with large methodology companies, came over and asked which one of them I was using at my company. And I said, absolutely none of them, Jeff. If I were using one of them, I'd be out of business. We need to be very flexible. We need to respond to change. Our technology doesn't work. And he said, wow, you sound like you have the same problem I do. He said, I'm working on something called Scrum. Why don't we come over and collaborate on it and work on it? Because I think it might be something that really boosts all of object-oriented. And indeed it did. So that's the question from Uppsala to Jeff about what his best methodology led to, I think, a lot of the impetus for Scrum.
Wow, and what I think I remember correctly, you both were home in the Smalltalk community at that time, right?
Yes.
So you built products using Smalltalk?
Yes.
So did Jeff?
Yes. And it was one of the first tools where you could rapidly code, test, build, deploy increments of software. So it was an enabler for iterative incremental, which Scrum's based on, of course.
Right. I myself rooted in Smalltalk, but many years after that.
People used to be embarrassed to view Smalltalk are now coming out of the woodwork. So this is good.
Yeah. So today, the reason we're here is also, obviously we could be just be visiting this building, but the building is now occupied, and we came full circle, we came 360, right? Occupied now by Scrum.org.
Right. And downstairs from us in the initial space we had is a part of a very large software company called Foliage Software. who uses Scrum, and whose founder, Steve Morlock, was one of the first employees we had when we were developing Scrum.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it's a full circle over and over again.
Wow.
Yeah.
So now you're upstairs.
Yep.
Perhaps that's symbolic.
We've moved up.
Perhaps that's symbolic, right? Like one floor up.
Yeah, they're down in the trenches developing software, and we're
working on other stuff. But that's a very interesting place, the Scrum.org, because you founded this this new place, home to Scrum, Scrum.org, about 3 years ago.
Exactly 3 years ago, I founded it right after I had a near-fatal bike accident, and founded it with Alex Armstrong, and trying to shift our focus on high-quality materials, intellectual property, and a high-quality community of people who we're helping.
Yeah. If you had to reflect on those 3 years, what are the key things you is there anything from memory you see in the last 3 years which stands out as breakthrough moments for you with Scrum or for the organization itself? I mean, I don't want to go into all the numbers yet, but
well, I think a breakthrough moment for both Jeff and myself. We saw a lot of people starting to change Scrum to suit their own needs. And of course, you can use Scrum in any number of ways in your own best practices, but Jeff and I always focused on Scrum being small and simple in an immutable framework. So one of the things that happened that's a turning point over the last 3 years is Jeff and I nailed the basics of Scrum down and published it. So everyone can use it for any number of things, but Scrum itself is very well defined. We even built an assessment where people can test their knowledge of it, but people no longer have to say, well, that's Scrum or that's not Scrum. It's there and known.
that's the Scrum Guide.
Yes.
Published in I don't know how many languages and or translated.
I think it's 30 now.
Wow.
A lot,
That's
right?
a lot.
A lot of eager, hardworking translators.
Wow. That's fantastic, and it's a very generous gift to the community because it's free of charge. You can just download it and from Scrum.org.
Jeff and I have always thought of Scrum as being free and to the community.
Mm-hmm. Scrum.org today, 3 years later, there are a lot of trainers. The organization grew quite a bit.
There are. We've always focused at Scrum.org not on training or coaching, but on building quality courseware, intellectual property, assessments. And we've organized those by specific skill within Scrum, so Scrum Master, Product Owner, Development Team, as well as some basic foundational information. And then we go out and we search out for, identify, and vet the very best software people we can in the industry and engage them to become partners with our company and to work with us both in using our materials as well as to improve the materials and to join us in our goal of improving the software profession.
Right. But isn't it like that the interest of more than 100 trainers now
Yes.
showing the respect towards the intellectual property and the quality of coursework, that there are more than 100 people out there right now around the globe.
Yes. And it is around the globe, and a number of them are organizations of 300 or 400 people. I think one of our latest partners in this was Capgemini.
Wow, that's a big one.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And they're very devoted to the excellence in software development, so it's become a pleasure to work with them.
That's great. We also talked a little bit beforehand about the number of assessments being taken, and it's just, I think the number is so big that we can't really say what it is because it's just so many.
Well, we do know that I think it was last month it was over 6,000. So the number of people who want to test their knowledge about both what Scrum is as well as are they using it in the best ways, significant.
So 6,000 in 1 month.
Yeah.
That's a very steep number. People spending time going to this?
Yeah.
You know, I mean.
Well, they want to know.
They want to know.
Yeah.
They want to know. I wanted to know.
I'm out there, I'm using Scrum. Oh, is there anything I could do better?
Yeah.
Let me try this assessment and see if I'm on track.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
It did work. It does work very well, and it's free.
Yep.
And then when you want to go through the training actually, and you want to go through the official certification, which is similar in format to the assessment, then
Well, there's no actual certification. If you take the assessment and you get, let's say, 85%,
85% it is. Right?
you are given a letter
Yeah.
saying that you scored 85% or higher.
Or higher. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's no
certification.
Yeah, how can you certify
yeah.
anything?
But you get the acknowledgement that you
Right, right.
passed the threshold.
Yes.
Okay. I did.
Yes, you did. Yeah. Those people that are courageous take our advanced assessments,
Yeah.
which are all essay questions. And there you have to talk about this reasoning, the thinking behind how you would address certain problems if you were using Scrum.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a very hard assessment where I think it's like 65% of the people who take it pass with an adequate score.
Mm-hmm.
And the others can't think through tough situations well enough.
Yeah. So this is a very different style of testing as the essay based, right? It's very time
Yes.
consuming.
Yeah.
Very time consuming on your end.
Yes, those are tough to
Yeah.
grade to as well as to take.
Mm-hmm.
They're time boxed assessments, so you can't, go to Google and think about it. You have to know or not know.
Okay. In terms of courses, I think everything like 3 years ago, if I remember correctly, it was started with the PSM course at that point. It was called.
We started with the developer
Scrum in
course.
Depth, yeah.
Oh, we had Scrum in Depth, which was the origin of the professional Scrum Master course now.
Right, and then this greater vision of yours started with Scrum.org of deploying this entire program of courses.
Yes.
Where we are today. If you had to think about what's next, I mean, there is this obviously Scrum Foundation, Scrum developers, professional Scrum Master, and all these product owner. What's next? What's your plan in terms of courses or anything? I mean, where do you take it from here?
People adopt Scrum. They get trained in Scrum. But many of our people we work with aren't just using Scrum to use Scrum. They're using it to gain agility.
Mm-hmm.
They're using it to become better software development organizations, which is, of course, continuous improvement.
Mm-hmm.
And what they want to know is, how are we doing, and what could we do better to increase the value we get from doing this? So we're putting in place a continuous improvement framework.
Mm-hmm.
Where people will be able to look at how they're doing now, how are the practices they're using benefiting them, what are the qualitative and quantitative metrics that reflect that, and then plan what are the next steps to increase the benefits they get to increase their agility.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to give the people using Scrum a framework within which they can see how they're doing and what to do next.
Awesome.
Yeah. We think this will help them a lot.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they kind of just ask for more training, but they don't know if it's beneficial.
Right. So here they have a way of reflecting on their progress.
Yes.
On their own or with somebody else.
They have an ability to manage their progress toward agility.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's a great term, right?
Yeah.
So the journey to agility.
Journey
right?
to agility. I've heard that before.
Oh God! We talked earlier about Jeff and you being a half a mile away from each other. You guys actually you wrote a book together, which we launched officially with the 5-year anniversary a few months ago.
Yes, we did.
And Software in 30 Days, and it's written by the both creators of Scrum, you and Jeff.
It was a pleasure. The first thing we did together was a announcement paper, a position paper at Uppsala 95. And we, of course, have done the Agile Manifesto and have the Scrum guide out. This is the first book we've written together.
Yes.
And it's a statement to management everywhere that people worldwide are having software built for them in 30 days or less. And if you aren't having your software built of high quality in 30 days or less, you should go down to your development organization and demand it. Because if you don't, you're no longer going to be competitive. And this is a book that describes this to them as well as tells them how to launch that journey and how to take advantage.
Right. So this is more a manager perspective.
Yes. This is a management book.
A management book on how to
How to be-
deploy an agile.
Yeah. How to get more from your software developers.
Awesome. And I have another set of books next to me here, which we're going to distribute to the Agile New York City community with your signature in it over the months to come.
Good.
As door prizes, so thank you for that as well.
Jeff and I thank you.
Thank you for listening to Agile FM, the radio for the Agile community. I'm your host, Joe Krebs. If you're interested in more programming and additional podcasts, please go to www.agile.fm. Talk to you soon.